Alright guys, MTech Guy here, and in today's video we're going to get this dodgy looking headlamp sorted out on the M5. Now you might have seen in one of my recent previous videos that I took the car in for a WOF, an annual inspection, and it passed, which was awesome, but they did give me an advisory about one of the headlamps being a little bit faded out. Now it's fair enough because it is a job I have been putting off for quite some time now. I do want to replace it with a brand new one, that's why I've been putting it off, but time's gone on. I ain't really got the stomach for dumping that much money into a headlamp right now. I've got other little jobs I want to get done on the car, so for now we're going to give the headlamp a bit of a refurbish. So with today's repair we're going to be using one of them headlamp restore kits. Now I'm not a massive fan of these kits. I have used them a number of times in the past, but to be honest I find that once you've gone at the headlamp with the sandpaper and the polish and whatnot, you just end up stripping back all that factory protectant off the headlamp itself, and then it just seems to accelerate the yellowing and the headlamp degrading. It just seems to speed everything up, so you get a really good initial result, but then they just seem to fade out super quick after that. Now it is especially worse here in New Zealand because of the UV rays. They're super strong, so yes, thank you New Zealand ozone layer, or what's left of it. But of course it does help with keeping the rust at bay, so you got to look at these things positive, eh? But anyhow, I would like to change it out for a brand new one. I did look around for a second-hand one, but to be honest, everywhere I looked, they were all pretty much as worn out as the one I've got, the one I'm looking at changing out. And it's great to see some comments from you guys, some advice on that previous video we talked about getting the headlamps sorted out. Like you guys said, look, just restore it, you know. Some of you guys said give it a sand and a clear coat. Now, I'm not a big fan of that either. So today we're going to use one of these kits. We'll see how we get on. It'll do for now, but we will end up changing it out for a new one at some point. It's a bit of a shame it's not so easy to change the lenses out on these. Now, my E46 ended up just getting some new clear lenses for that, and they just clip off and clip back on. Chuck some new seals in. Job done. That was super easy, but these ones is a huge ordeal to separate the lens from the light assembly itself. I don't really want to go down that road, and usually find that they're never quite 100% when you've finished the job afterwards. So yep, we'll restore this one for now, and then like I say, we'll look at getting a new one later on. Alright, so I've bought myself one of these Meguiar's headlamp restoration kits here. Now I have had a lot of good luck with the Meguiar's products over the years, apart from their ultimate wax. Every time I've bought that bloody stuff, it seems to separate in the bottle, ends up a big watery mess, so I don't bother with that stuff anymore. But anyhow, as you can see here, comes with two lots of sandpaper. There's a 1000 grit and a 3000. Comes with a wee sanding tool. Got the headlamp polishing attachment here for your drill. Got the brand new microfiber. And then we've got two bottles here of the world's smallest plastic polish and headlamp protectant. Looks like the size of a shampoo bottle from a hotel or something. But anyhow, the reason I went for this kit especially was because it came with this headlamp protectant. So we're going to give that a go today. So hopefully that's going to keep the yellowing at bay and stop it from degrading so quickly as I've found before. They do recommend that you reapply this every 6 months. So yes, that's just another job I've got to do on my list. But if it helps out, then it'll do for now. Now I'm not sure if this 1000 grit sandpaper is going to be aggressive enough to cut through the dodgy coating we've got. I do have an 800 grit off a previous kit, an old mother's kit I've got, so I might try and use that on the worst of it, but we'll see how we go with it anyway. We'll see how it turns out. So of course the kit comes with everything you need to do the job. So next up we'll take a look at the headlamp, and what we're going to do is tape up around the outside of the headlamp so we don't damage the paint with tape that doesn't come with the kit. Okay, so here we have the decent looking headlamp look, and then here's the ugly one that's letting the side down. So that's the one we're going to be sorting out today. This one's original to the car, so hopefully the sanding pads that we've got are going to be enough to cut through this bad bit here, especially along the top. It's really faded out there, started going yellow a wee bit, so let's get it sorted. Alright guys, we've got the headlamp all taped up around the perimeter now. Now this tape is going to serve two purposes. It's going to stop us from damaging the paintwork with the sanding discs and the cutting compound, and it's also going to protect the rubber seal around the edge of the headlamp from getting stained from the cutting compound also. So now we're ready to restore our headlamp lens, because of course that's exactly what YouTube needs, another headlamp restoration video. Certainly what's lacking in the universe. But anyhow, let's get into it, eh? Okay, so to start off with, we've got a little squirty bottle here full of soapy water. Of course not included with the kit. So what I might do to start off with, I've got this old pad I've got here that's an 800 grit. That might be just enough to knock it back enough to cut through this heavy stuff. So we'll give that a go first. So we're going to soak the pad going to soak the headlamp, and then we're going to go from there. So give that a bit of a wipe down. That's the first pass with the 800 grit. So I think we've got the thick of the worst of it off now. So next we'll move over to the 1000 grit. Give the pad a good soak and the headlamp too. We'll clean up the pad and the headlamp lens as we go, just to get rid of all the residue. Alright, so that's the 1000 grit done. And now we'll move on to a bit of 3000 grit action, the final sanding pad. Alright, so that's all the sanding finished with now, and as you can see, it's looking a lot better already. So we'll let this dry off, and then next up, we'll go at it with the polishing compound. Alright, so as you can see, the lens is still looking pretty dull, but it is super smooth at the minute. There are a few deep scratches across the front here and there. There's not much we can do about that. We'd have to cut away half the plastic to blend them out, so that's about as good as it's going to get, I think, with this sanding. So next we'll move on to the polishing compound and see what it turns out like. Alright, so that's the polishing finished now, and it's come up bloody nice, a lot nicer than I thought it would do. Really came alive with the polishing pass, you know. Okay, so next off, we'll remove all our raggedy looking tape now. Alright, so that's all the tape out the way, so I think what we'll do before we go any further with the headlight lens is we'll just clean up all this mess with some quick detailer before it dries. Alright, so we're just about ready to apply our headlight protectant, but before I do so, I think I'm going to give this a wipe over with some methylated spirits just to give it a clean up, remove any of that residue and wax from the quick detailer, and then that protectant will adhere as best it can to the lens. Alright, so this should give us the best chance of that headlamp protectant sticking to the lens. Alright, so now we're ready to try out our headlight protectant. So we're going to apply this with a waxing pad, and then we're going to buff it off with the microfiber, and of course the wax pad not included with the kit. We'll get rid of the residue there. Alright guys, so there we have it. Now I found when I was putting the protectant on, I probably got a bit overzealous at first, and I caked it on there, and I found that it wouldn't buff off, it just dulled everything off. So I wiped it all off with the methylated spirits, started again, just used a small amount, a bit like when you're waxing a car, and just rubbed it in there, and then wiped it off with a microfiber, and that's come up beautiful now. I'm actually really pleased with the way that's come out today. Hopefully that protectant will last a while. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video later on to see if it does yellow or not, and then, like I say, I'll try and keep up with it, maybe every 6 months reapply it. But no, that's come up real good. Is it as good as a brand new one? Not really, but almost. It'll tide us over anyway for the 9 years it'll take me to save up for a new headlamp unit. And at least the car looks even and uniform now, that it looks just about as good as its mate over here. Alright, so what do you guys reckon anyway? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.